All right, we are getting back into it. It's going on 9 o'clock on September 11th. All right. So, here's where we left off in our last video. We have this kind of round-edged triangular island that we begin on for now. You can see that the edges are just kind of roughed in. We're going to worry about smoothing those out later. The idea at this point is just to get a general, sense of the place. And so I'll run the game and I'll just show you some things that we finished last time. So we have the overworld, we have player movement, we have these scene transitions. I don't have interacting with objects yet. I think I'll do that today probably. Or maybe we should focus on NPCs because those are going to, once we get people into the town and maybe some animals, it's just going to feel so much more alive, right? This feels like a ghost town right now. So NPCs, that sounds like a good priority. I'm going to start writing down on my list. So we already have NPCs up there. Actually, this is exactly what I wanted to do. Because I was going to say that's going to lead to the SpriteSheetAnimation node. Man, freaking allergies. These the season changes kill me. But I'm enjoying the cool weather. Or the cooling down. So this will be pretty fun. I think I might just grab an existing class I made before. A class as in one of these guys, a script. And we can just modify that to suit our needs. No need to reinvent the wheel. Let's go back to our game here. Again, that water will be smoothed out. I'll probably even make a tile for this path, like an auto tile, but maybe I'll keep it simple. I do kind of like very much the retro aspect of it and trying to do like a lot with very little. So the overworld idea is that we would kind of like go northeast and there will be something up here. I probably need to make this higher up. You can see we have collision on the water. I can probably, you can see me sliding around it like that. So that's nice. I think in the original, it was probably grid-based movement where you move one cell at a time. But I'd have to play the old one to find out. So if I tap D, that's my debug for toggling the danger incrementer. Again, I'm just doing an overview of what we've accomplished so far. So you can see we have the battle transition. I do need to animate the beginning to fit with the fade in because everything kind of happens too fast here. We have fighting, target selecting. You can see our player info boxes respond based on who's active. I can go back one. You can see how it indicates which person you're using. And we have an event queue that is sorted by each actor's speed roll. And so they have a base speed stat, which we then add a random amount to. And that sorts all the events and dictates the order in which things happen. We have that bouncing hit text. Uh-oh, I found a bug. Because I just hit fight, and it looks like it went to a node that is maybe no longer here, and so we lost focus. So that's something I'll have to come back and fix. Not a huge deal right now. I don't need Chrome. I can reload the game, and let's do the battle one more time. I just want to go into it and then run away and do it again. Just testing the battle real quick. See how it looks. All right, so we're in this area. As a reminder, we did implement different enemy zones. So right now I'm in zone 1. The starting area is zone 0. And you'll see if I get into a fight, we're going to see different enemies, along with some of the repeating ones, because there's some overlap in how I designed it. Let's see how we're getting this cockroach and the bat primarily. I don't know if we have anything else in this area right now. Yeah. And remember that if I go to world map, we can show that these enemy spawn areas. See how this is all 0, and then you get into 1. And so the idea is that it will generally increase in difficulty as the numbers increase. And you can see we just supply those numbers for the actors there. Okay, that was the quick recap. Remember, you can always skip the recap just by using the chapters on YouTube, but I think it's helpful sometimes to just get a refresher of where we are. All right, so back to the notes. NPCs, NPC movement, sprite sheet animation node. All right, so we need to look at our player. Because as I said before, the player was going to evolve into probably being the base NPC class, and then we would extend that NPC class for the player. But I'm going to take a look at things and figure out how I want to approach that. Keep in mind that a lot of times I work in real time. I'm not like planning things heavily before I hop on here. So maybe the pace at which I work, I think, is reflective of, like a realistic approach to how I work instead of something that's, heavily planned and structured and, specifically for a video format. So I think it helps because you get a sense of what it's like to actually make the game. And it's not just like me flying through things. Okay, so we process. Right now I'm thinking about what things I can, modify or reuse for a base NPC and which things are player specific. So I'm trying to think of how am I going to split this up. Idle's fine. Set enable, that's good. Facing direction. It looks like the main thing, obviously we only want that for the player. Ready. This will be changed on the NPC. We'll probably roll to see if they move. Okay. Tell you what, before we get to the NPC, let's handle the sprite sheet animation. So let's get that in place before we start doing our NPC. So for that, I'm gonna go, actually I'm gonna check my utility, see if it's in there first. It is, beautiful. Overworld characters, so that's okay. It's looking for that, but we're gonna have a different resource for that. Actually, we're gonna have multiple. That's telling me that its texture is not in this project, which is correct. So let's look at these variables. We have frame size 8 by 8. That's incorrect. What we want is 20 by, or no, these are 16 by 16. Frame max. I believe I automated this actually, so I'm gonna try and find that code real quick. Because that's gonna work more nicely. Let's see. Let's check. No, this is not automated in here. I swear I thought I automated this. And I would love to have the one that is the most up to date. That one, where would it have been automated? Might have actually been in one of my farming games. Untitled Nature Game 3, maybe. Oh, frame max. Where do I set frame max? Yeah, see this one, it's all automated. Now I just want to modify this. We're going to copy and paste that. And I think I can just cut that out. And textures, for now I'm just going to comment that out. Initial offset 0, 0 by default. Separation 0, 0. Were those the frame sizes? Let's see how we use it. Separation times frame current times facing. Where are we using frame size? Yeah, I think this should be 0. Because all that is that's saying that's the spacing between the frames, that frame buffer. We don't need that with these files, I believe. This all looks good. Set texture, texture set idle. So I don't think we're going to use that setup. What we're going to do instead is modify from the player. Excuse me. Actually, I think player will handle that. So you're not going to call this. We're going to get rid of that. Because the sprite sheet animation shouldn't care about idling. That's my opinion. Set texture if is running. What I'm going to do is just pass. So we have that in place. We might have a running animation later, but for now, we don't. And give me 1 sec. I just got to grab my cat. What are you doing? Huh? These cats, they just like getting into things they shouldn't be in. So, this looks right. I'm going to save this. And I think by default, let's just, so we can test it, let's throw that in there. H frames and F frames. Let's see. Am I interacting with those? See, I'm manually doing this math when I think I could be using the H frames and V frames. So I might modify this even further. So what we have to do is count these. So we have 3 times 4, which would be 12, and then we subtract 11, or we subtract 1, because indexing starts at 0. And then we should have what? We have 4, 8, so it's going to be 7. Or not. What is it? 8? There we go. How did I mess that math up? Let's look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This should be 7, right? Does that mean this should be 12? You know what? I think we'll use that just so we can get the size there. Maybe this needs to be a tool so we can get it to show up properly in the editor. What are we calling that? So after we set the texture, so I think we'll plop that in there. Oops. I'll just call it here. Okay. I think before, why I probably didn't automate it was that, if you modify your texture, it's not going to look right because it's always based on that specific texture size. We're going to try and make it work. So we set frame max. I think H frames is going to equal frame max. So let's do that. I'm going to print H frames. Well, I guess I'll know once I save this if it works. Like we can undo that, close this out, and reopen it. We'll see if it's doing its job. So H frames did not update, which it should have. Do we even print it? Base stream texture region, and that's because we're not using a tile atlas. See, I don't even know if I need an atlas. So I might just go and try and modify this. I have to look at texture. Get size. Take it back. We will make an atlas out of it. I think that's the way to go. Because otherwise I have to manually put the rest of that data in anyway, so it doesn't make sense. We'll just call it people. We're going to give it that picture. The region, the width is going to be 16 by 16. You can see how that does that. And then we give SpriteSheetAnimation that texture. And what we want to do now is reset V frames and H frames because we're not using that setup now. We're going back to the old way. And for this one, I am going to center it. Set frame max. Don't have to do that now. What we will have to do is set the texture. I change the texture based on what sheet we need. For now, we'll just have this. And I believe, let me look at how this is organized. So we have that, we have frame max. This I'm going to modify based on our sprite sheet. It's going to just be 2. I'll put a note, modify based on sprite sheet. And let's see. Advanced frame. So when we set the texture, it's going to start. Look at idle. Textures idle. Maybe I will get idle in here. It should be an export bar. So frame. We advance the frame. It's frame current +1. It's going to be that. And we want to stop. And don't think we want that to auto start. One shot. Change this to set frame. It's going to be N. And so now we can do, instead of that, it's going to be set frame. Advance frame. I think by default we're going to start frame advance. It's going to be frame current plus equals 1. +1. Set texture region position. Is there any reason I don't just call that in set frame? Don't need that. Set frame. Let's change that. We're going to have play. Player's going to lose those. I'll just hide that. We're going to give it that. We want it to be at the same position. And we're using SpriteSheetAnimation. So do that. Change this to an int. We can do that in play. Like if not frame advance dot is running, it's stopped. So if it's stopped, we want to set frame to frame 0. Set facing. think we need that anymore. Oh. Yeah, let's just get rid of that for now. Back to player. Do that. Speed scale. 0. Which I think I can do. Set speed scale. So we can change that, and then we can do this. It's going to be a frame duration times value. This one we don't have to convert anymore. We're doing it custom for in the sprite sheet. And animating, if not animating, then we do that idle. I know it's a fair bit of prep, but it's going to make it work really nicely with all these sprite sheets that we have. Let's just see what happens out here. Play and base. Just do vector2 dot down. It should be playing that. Let's see if we're calling this. It's getting it, it's just not working. Set facing. Advanced start. We're already calling that. So we have frame current, facing. So facing is the Y. Frame current, facing. Yeah, I'm not even using that buffer. Let's just get rid of that for now. Facing equals 0. Frame. It resets remaining time to wait time. That should work. Well, close. It's not animating, but it is functioning. It is running, rather. Facing. Let's see, is our frame ever changing? No. So we're never calling that. I'll just hard code it for now. Why are we only getting 0, 1? Just do this when we set the frame. Get rid of that crap. We'll get there. Oh, so close. think it's because it's one shot. Oh man, I'm gonna have to make a custom setup here, because what I need is for this animation, if you remember in our animated sprite, I had to play the middle animation after this one. So it's actually a 4-frame animation. So what we can do, I think, is set frame max to 4. And we check if look at set frame real quick. Should really be at the top. Let me see how these are animating real quick. 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. All right, beautiful. So then if we go and say if frame current little janky. That should get us animating. There's a little delay in the turning. I have to look at that. Then we can do this. If facing previous, we want to set frame current. Frame current. There we go. Let's test running. Oh, I'm not using speed scale yet. Where am I? Set speed scale. We have it, we're just not calling it. Maybe we're calling it here, right? You gotta do okay. It's working, it's just my math is backwards on it. It needs to be divided by value. It's a bit of a delay. I think we'll check. Let's do this. If speed scale is equal, oh, no, equal speed scale value. And we actually want to call set frame, current frame. Frame current, I keep doing that. That way, if we're changing the speed scale, we want to make sure that we're updating that frame immediately, right? Is that what I'm seeing? Let me do that. Wait time equals that. And we set the frame. I think actually we want to advance it. There we go. That seems to be working as intended. So it's basically like we have the same functionality as an animated sprite, but it'll work seamlessly with these sprite sheets. Now the next thing I have to account for is that we have to set the index, which is going to be a cell, and so the top left is going to be 0, 0. The pink is going to be 1, 0. Bottom left would be 0, 1, and so on. So that way we can use this format and get through the day here. Texture region.position equals that. So we actually have to account for the area. It's going to be, let's see. I might call it a quadrant. Is a quadrant by definition, does it have to be square? Let's see, quadrant. Each of 4 quarters of a circle. I think quadrant will work okay. Maybe not. First quadrant. Because that implies 4. So let's call it ready for character area vector 2. It's going to be something like let's see. Where was I? Like facing dot size. That's for the y. Times frame size dot y. Okay. The width will be frame x times frame size dot x. Frame max of 4. Does it work if I do 3? No. So we need 4. Well, I'm pretty sure we have to subtract 1. And let's print character area just to see if we're getting the math right. Then we'll be able to use it when we advance the frame. Whoops. Where's idle? I don't want that. So negative 12, 64. 64 is right, not the negative 12. Frame size dot x. How am I getting negative 12? Oh, duh. This needs to be parentheses. All right, 48 by 64, that's correct. And then what we have to do is set the, we multiply index. Let's call this character index. And actual frame, that's fine. Index position vector 2. Let's call this like indexed position equals character index times character area. And then we have to add that plus that. And I might actually make this a var up here. And then we can set that. We really only need to set it once. We set the texture, and we'll add character. Let's see. Let's make it a function. So now if we go up here to ready, we can test it by doing this, SpriteSheetAnimation dot set character index. Why is that not showing up? That's weird. We should be getting autocomplete on that. So if we do like 1, 0, should be the pink girl. Perfect. I'm really happy that worked out. So now as changing our character is as simple as changing that character index. And so maybe I want the green. Pretty cool. So I think what we'll do is we're going to make a export var. And so we can set that according to the texture that we're using. Which reminds me, we're going to need sprite sheet. Be a texture. Actually, it's going to be an atlas texture. Null, or let's make it. You'll just do null for now. And down here we will override set texture sprite sheet. Actually, we can just do that, and we only want to do it if it's not null. If sprite sheet, then we do that. But we'll assume that it has a default sheet loaded. So what's cool is that when I modify this to be an NPC, I can drag the specific sheet. I might actually call this Sprite Atlas. That way I know specifically it needs to be an Atlas texture. That'll help. So we drag the sheet, and then we plop in the character index. So I could do, let's try 2 on that, and it should just automatically update. Oh, that looks beautiful. Let's see what happened there. I went too far down. So it was glitching out. Now I can reset that, and will be, my run again will be the top left one. All right. So that was a bit of a doozy. I just really wanted to make this work better than I had it before, and I think we got that. You'll want to update facing based on your own sprite sheet. And just imagine it going down the rows. Right, so we're facing down, left, right, up. And that's why, that's the order that you want it to be in if you're going to copy this code. Because the frame is always calculating where it needs to be based on using facing as a Y multiplier. And we just multiply it by the frame size after setting our index position, which index position is the top left of the character area. All right. All right, all right, all right. Feel free to pause at any of these if you just want to copy them. Or I tell you what, I mean, if you're a beginner, you probably don't even want to mess with that. You should probably just use an animated sprite like we were doing before and manually dragging these in. Now, it will get tedious, right? Because you're going to have to do that for each character. So, up to you. You can also do these through code, the animated sprite, the sprite frames. If you look at the resource there in the docs, there are things like, let's see, I think, yeah, like you can set the frames manually through code here. You can remove frames. You can do all that stuff right here in the sprite frames. Food for thought. But yeah, if you're getting started, just do it manually. And you could have a sprite frames resource. What you could do is save it for each one, where you have down, left, right, up, and then just clear these frames and upload your next character, right? So I'm going to get rid of that animated sprite. We don't need that anymore. All right, so let me update my notes. So I got rid of that. We did it. NPCs. I don't know why I indented this. Kind of goofy. NPCs and NPC movement. So how am I going to modify this? That mask still works. The mask should really be attached to that. That way it always follows the position of the sprite. What next? So making the player an NPC base. So basically I want to find out what like what I want to get rid of. Like what is player specific? And right now I think it's only the process. And for example, yeah, so it's basically we're just the movement is going to be different, but otherwise they will function the same. We'll treat them the same, we'll interact with them the same way. So before we swap that, let's get everything we need for this class. So all of them are going to need an interaction range. And should I just call it interact? Interact, I'm thinking. No, let's call it interaction range. More specific. And we give it a collision shape. It's going to be a circle. And I want it to be about, first off, I want it a bit more centered. And the idea with this is that anything, when we get the areas or the bodies that are colliding with this, we want to interact with them. And I want it to be about, you know, one character width and height away from the origin. That looks good. I'm gonna give that, do we need a script on that? I'll just be able to call it in here. I'm gonna put this up above the camera. So we have already var interaction range area 2D equals interaction range. Now we can use that. So set enabled, set facing. Where do I want to call this? It's going to be on, for the player, it's going to be, I think, unhandled input. We do if input, sorry, if event is action pressed, UI accept by default. You might have a different name for it in your code. If we have that, we're going to do this and get overlapping bodies. And that's going to be an array. So it'll be colliders array. Equals that. Call it. No, that's fine. We're going to loop through these for collider in colliders. If collider is NPC, we're going to do collider.interact or something like that. Okay. I'm going to uncomment this because we don't have an NPC class yet, so it's going to throw an error. But once I make that, we'll have that framework in place. Interaction range monitoring, it's doesn't need to be monitorable. That's fine for now. I'm not worried about that stuff. And yeah. So it seems like it's NPC time. And good, so we're going to duplicate the player now. Call it NPC. Open that up. Let's get it over here. We don't need the SpriteSheetAnimation scene open right now. Let's save everything. So player and NPC. I'm actually going to put the NPC in front because I think the player is going to inherit from that. So we're going to have like just an actor class. NPC. And so we're going to give them a script. Actually, we want that script back. So what I'm going to do is, first off, we're going to rename player.gd. For some reason, my shortcut's not working. So player.gd is now going to be actor.gd. This is going to be actor. And then the player is going to extend that. Save that, and then we extend that. It should work. Yeah, throw that. Not sure why player. Oh, we just need to do that. I can get rid of all those. All right, so the player has the player script. NPC has the actor script. The player specific stuff, I'm now going to move over to player. And let's see. That's all good. The input, that's going to go to the player. Last name player extends actor. Why is that not? Let's do a reload, see if that fixes that. I'm excited. We have the sprite sheets working as intended. We're about to get NPCs, which are going to bring so much life to the game. Let's get our NPC scene back open. Ah! Okay, NPC and player. As we said before, the process for player is going to be different from the NPC. Now, the way Godot works is that anything I put in process in actor is automatically going to run in player. I believe that's how that works. I'm thinking the actor might not need a process. So if I just give that to player, let's see if all this works. Good. We go back to actor, set enabled, set facing. All of this is truly universal between the two, so we can keep that. We don't need moved. That's a player specific signal. We're not going to be communicating with that signal for an NPC. All right, so we have actor. Actor looks pretty good. So I think now NPC can extend actor. So just to give you an idea of what's happening here, let's draw this out. I want to make sure everyone's following along. I know everyone has different experience levels, so I just want to illustrate what's happening here. Let me get a big brush, whatever. Okay, so we have, why can't I get, it's different from how I remember paint before. I'm used to like Photoshop and Sprite. So how about we zoom in? All right, we have actor. Let's just use text. All right, so we have actor, right? And then we have NPC. What are you doing? NPC? We have player. And then we can draw like, So actor has that base functionality right here that the NPC and player shares. They inherit that. They're extending that functionality. So players going in one direction where we control them, NPCs going in a direction where they're going to be fully automated. And of course, like through code and the engine, I'm going to tell it how to behave, and we might have different characteristics that we modify based on the NPC and the NPC type. But we're going to have a default type where they just kind of wander around, like your typical classic JRPG NPC. So keep in mind, these are separate scenes. Oops, didn't want to close that. NPC does not need a camera. We only want the camera on the player. And I think everything else can stay. We do want to get a listener 2D. I thought I already had that on the character. I might put sounds after that. It'll be current. I'm not using like directional or spatial sound yet, but that might be something I add in. So we do want to be proactive and get that listener 2D onto the player. So you can see the difference in the scene setup, right? Player has the camera and listener. So NPC, they're going to need, we could do just like creating the timers through the tree, but I generally prefer to have it in the scene tree. Let's get a timer. It's going to be called move. Maybe let's be specific. It's going to be wander. And then maybe we have another timer that's like move. Or let's just stick with wander for now. So that's going to be when it begins the wander. we're gonna have to. We'll do some testing here. Wander timer equals wander. Let's call it choose new direction. Let's be very specific. Wander's a little bit ambiguous. I don't like that with code. Remember, you want to write code for future you. So I'm going to make that timer now. Ah! That timer, I'm going to call it move. So the setup is we're going to run choose new direction. When that pops off, we're going to make a timeout signal here on choose new direction timeout. We're going to choose direction, begin moving, and it's going to be like move.start. We're going to have to randomize the time there. So maybe I do a const move duration base equals maybe 3 seconds. And const wander duration base float equals, not wander, we'll come back to that. Choose new direction. Well, wait, we don't really need 2 of these. Let's see, it's been a while since I've programmed something like this. Let's do on move timeout. Keep it simple. You're gonna be yeah, you just keep running so you're not one shot. We don't want to auto start though. What we're gonna do here is in ready. We're gonna do move.start. That's gonna be move duration base plus rand range. Like negative 2.5 to 2.5, something like that. Maybe just put that in there. Let's make it clear. Change it to move or wait. And sorry, I'm just scratching my face real quick. And it's move or wait. That's a little bit confusing if we call it move. Let's just change. Let's work with move for now. And f is greater than 0.25. We move, we choose new direction, so what is it, facing equals, I forget, I think I have a random direction here. Get random vector 1D. Yeah. I should show you that code real quick. I don't know why util has that. Anyway, we're just choosing a random direction from this array, which is up, down, left, or right. And so it's clamped to 4 directional movement. Go back to NPC, facing equals that. And you know, we do need some of this code. I don't think we're going to have them run right now. Set speed scale. Set facing. This is all what I need for them. They're going to be different. Do else. Make sure we're idling there. Begin move. Let's call it begin move. I don't really like the naming here. Glide. It's going to be facing speed times delta. Moving collide. If moving collide, then we want idle. Do want to replace all of that. So let's get an NPC in there. And we'll test them out. I don't need to see the transition area. NPCs go there, and just kind of drag them in. Put one right in front of the player so we can see them right away. And what I can do is we can change this up. Maybe that's a 1 and that's a 2. So they should update and they should be moving around. What? Oh, they're sharing the same texture. So in the sprite sheet, I'll show you what we have to put in. When we set the texture, ooh, you know what? that check won't work, will it? Let's be an atlas texture first of all. Oh no, for that. So if texture text is atlas texture. I don't really like that. We're gonna change it. Do that. We'll keep it. Whatever. So if text is atlas texture, we continue. Then we want to do a check. It's gonna be like if text dot texture equals texture dot texture. does that make sense? Let me look this up. Atlas. Text dot atlas equals texture dot atlas. And text atlas is not equal to that. Duplicate. I'm gonna try making it local to scene, and we'll see if that fixes it before I start duplicating it. I think that did work. Yeah, that was all I had to do. Whoa, did you make it out of there? Dude. Wait, did he really get out of that building? I gotta go see this. Wasn't he up here? Yeah, dude made it out. Wow. I mean, he only has a small little gap. So the local to scene, that's basically just making, I think, copies of it made unique in each instance of its local scene. So every time, every NPC I have, it's going to have its own copy of this, of its texture. So I actually don't need... Well, I do have to set the text. Like, yeah. Okay, frame max. I do want this to be a separate thing because it just kind of makes that sloppy. And we just pass for now. All right, let's go back to town. Where you going? What are you doing? It's a start. I think they moved too far. So this won't work. Spread float equals. Now they shouldn't move for as long. I don't know what's going on now. Like how come they're moving even longer? .5. So spread should be 0.75. That's what this looks like. Maybe just give them more of a chance to idle. A lot more of a chance to idle. Let's see what Blueberry's doing up here. Hey, buddy. Hello. What you doing? So now we need rid of that. Stationary. And so for a shopkeeper, for example, we might give a little like counter. It's just temporary. What kind of works? He will be stationary. Then we're going to do a check in NPC. Where we do if not stationary. I'm going to move that stop. Let's go and see if he's just hanging. Seems right. So those numbers we see popping up, that should be for this one down here. All right, we have basic NPC and NPC movement. Next, I want to tackle the interaction, which I had begun. So we're going to uncomment this. This will work now, or at least it won't error out because we now have an NPC class. But now the NPC needs an interact function. Then we call it talk. For now, we're just doing that, just to get a reaction. We'll do that. We also want to break. We find a collider. So I go up here and I press interact. Where are you going? I'm trying to interact. Hi. We're getting that. So that works. Definitely need to tune the NPC movement big time. They just start walking again too quickly. So maybe we do give you a new timer. Oops. Ah. Or we're idle. So moving happens independently now of deciding whether we move. And so we begin the move if we actually we only need this up here. And then this is our wait time before we decide to try again. So our NPC that is moving should appear less twitchy. I can interact, hi. And maybe it's a bit too much. Probably do half, like 2-4. Also, let's get more NPCs in there. So Someone's blocking me. It just cracks me up that they went to a corner. It's a beginning. So we want to get the dialog box happening. Let's take a look at that. I might just copy the placement from the battle. I don't see any issue with that right now. So we should be able to just do back in here. Oh, I forgot to put it in the game. So go down to game. That's where we start doing our GUI. So I think for now it just needs that. Worry about organizing that later. I should also hide this by default. So go to town, run up. Where are you going? How nice is that? Hey, where are you going? Where are you going? Should probably be at the bottom. What's the setup here? Alright, so we'll just save that. We're going to go to our game GUI. We need a margin container, full rect. We're going to set this to shrink end, shrink center for the X. Not much of a margin, is it? I'm trying to see. This needs a theme. I'll give it our margin. Okay, so we can turn that off by default. And see what that looks like. All right, cool. Yeah, I think I like that placement better. We can mess with the size of it later. We do need to disable the collider temporarily. It's going to be set. If we can do, let's do that. Set excuse me, false. Locals.player. That's set enable false. And then we want to yield. So that's closed. We do set enabled true. Locals.player.set enabled true. So while the dialog box is up, we want to freeze. I also need turn to player here. And let's see, that looks all right. Do we have to look at actor? Set process false. If not on, we do that. That seems right. I think we want to extend that for the NPC. Let's do it up here. We do that. We put a period in front to call set enabled from the actor base class. And then we're going to add additional functionality here, which is basically going to be if on, pass, else, pass. So we're going to, we got to interact with these timers. So I think we can pause them. Double check in our timer. Pause would only be with the tree, right? No, so set paused. Okay. If on, we go for move dot set paused. Pause. Actually, this can just be not on. You know what? No, stop that. I think that's why this should be a node timer. What? Move dot start. So they're moving while that's going on. Okay. So now I can use that. Move dot stop. Not on move dot stop. Do if enabled. Move. We'll get there. Now, else movement dot stop. Stop all the timers. Okay. Let's take a gander. Looks like it stopped her. Let's wait till someone else moves. Test that out again. Yeah, from what I can tell, it's working. Override. Let's have a chance, and so they're gonna have chance to move. Chance to idle would be chance to move. Plug that in there, and this would be if it's less than that. So we can give them a lower chance to move right away after that. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're working. It's working. Hi. So now I want to get them facing us when we talk to them. Let's see. Facing. Are we still using that? Let's see. Yeah, we update the animation. Let's put a note. All right, that's good for now. We will get back to it. We'll fix the facing, and we'll probably then get shops and items and inventories implemented. So I'll take all of this. We already got running away, or finish running away. So down here we'll have shops. Put this up. And so that'll probably be in the next video. All right, thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions, any feedback whatsoever. All right, good luck making your game, and have a great day.